What's up guys, my name is Ace, and since with Season 3 of Modern Warfare we had 3 maps added in the 6v6 rotation, I wanted to combine all of those together and do one big Maps Exposed episode for these 3 maps. So in this, I'm going to be sharing a bunch of jump spots and lines of sight and any other sort of secrets that I know of on every one of the Season 3 maps that were added to the game. And first up, let's kick it off with Backlot. And with Backlot, we've got way more jump spots and lines of sight than we've ever had before in the previous version of Backlot, because we can just jump on more things, and they actually opened up a few other areas, and things have actually changed a fair amount with this map. So the first thing is over by the C domination spawn, there's these garage doors that you can actually jump on top of, just like this. And this would be used most for locking down this area right here, so you can look over towards this window like that, and they don't normally expect that. They're not typically going to be looking up here. Same thing goes with this area here. If you're going to peek around this corner, normally they're not looking up here, they're going to be looking down low somewhere, so you just might take them off guard, and you also get the height advantage. After that, it's also worth noting that we do have this area that you can crawl under, which isn't new to Backlot. That's one way to get around there, but there's a much easier way, and that's simply to jump up over on top of this car like that. And that's much better because your gun is up and you're not completely like a sitting duck as you're trying to lay through here, because you can't really move or evade shots or anything from here. But as you come up this way, you can do a lot more. Now, additionally, from this spot, it's kind of interesting. You can pop up like this to challenge anybody that's in this area right here. Or better yet, if you are coming from this direction here, jump on the yellow car. From here, you can jump across to this, and there you go. That gives you an excellent line of sight up on that power position there, where you often have campers sitting. So it's really easy to pick them off from here, and they don't typically expect this. Now, once you have that locked down and you know that's safe, one thing you can do is come up like this, and that gives you a nice angle and vantage point over the people that are right here. But of course, you are quite exposed to those windows, so it's just something you have to be aware of. Now, getting over to this area here, in Domination especially, if you have people that are capping that B flag, and let's just say you spawn back here and you're trying to defend the B flag, just jump up on top of the car here, and there you go. You got a nice little area here to shoot through, and this is just much better than trying to challenge them out in the open like most people would do. Next up, we have another way to counter the people that are going to be camping up in that area there. If you find yourself over here, what you can do is hop up on these crates and just back yourself up right to the wall here. And if you do that, you'll be able to see them poking their head out just above there, and you might be able to pick them off through there, and they won't typically see you. Also from here, this one's an old school spot. If you can jump up onto the wall right here, this gets you to the balcony. And from this balcony, you've got a ladder, and that gets you all the way up here. And this gives you a huge vantage point over basically the entire map. However, they can also see you, so it's a very high risk, high reward sort of a place to be. Now, of course, just an alternative to that, if you are in the second floor of this middle building, you can just jump out the window like this and then just walk across and come up this way. So that's just a different way of getting up there. Now, another way to get up into this building that is a little bit more creative than just taking the stairs, which might have a claymore or a proximity mine on it, or jumping through the window over here, which is what they sometimes will be expecting from you. Another way up to the second story is if you come to this potted plant right here, jump on top of it. From this, you can jump on top of the corrugated wall here, and then up like that, and there you go. You're now in. Additionally, this side is a lot more obvious. You could just jump on the trash can right here and then jump up like that. That's pretty straightforward, though. Now, if you find yourself up in this top middle area here, and you have enemies that are up in that common spot, instead of challenging from the window here, which they actually have a slight advantage here, they have better cover than you and a slight height advantage, a better way to challenge them, assuming this area of the map is safe, is come up behind the fridge here, jump up onto the windowsill, and then just strafe over a little bit, and there you go. Great line of sight on them. They don't typically see this. You can easily crouch to take cover, but when you stand up, you've got a clear line of sight on them. Now, over in this area right here, if you have the enemies spawning back in that area, what you can do is hop up on the car, and that gives you a bit of a line of sight across here. But even better, you can hop up on the wall and then hop across to this balcony area right here. And from this, you can have a look towards this back alley area. And they don't typically expect you looking from the top part here. They're normally going to be focusing their attention down low. Now, getting back here, this whole area right here is brand new to the Backlot of Modern Warfare. This wasn't in the original COD 4. And from here, you can use this van to jump up into the window to challenge people that are camping up in this area here. And another thing you can do, maybe before you make that push, if you know they're in this room, is you can throw stuns and nades and stuff through this area right here. So that might be a good way. If you jump up onto the van like this, you know they're camping up there, maybe throw a stun, and then as that stun's being thrown, you jump in, and then you just light them up when you get in here. Now, getting way towards the back of the A spawn here, let's just say you respawned here and you know enemies are pushing in that back alley towards the A flag. A great way to challenge them is to hop up like this, and there you go. Gives you a nice line of sight over the top there, and they don't normally see this one coming at all. Of course, you do have to be aware you are very exposed to this area of the map here. It's a very situational sort of thing, but in the right situation, you will definitely be winning this fight here. Now, something else that's brand new to this version of Backlot is you can jump on top of this area right here by going to the barrel, and then you have to kind of jump sideways across to where this blanket is. You can't just jump straight up here, it won't let you. But if you kind of sideways jump a little bit, that'll get you up here, which is just an alternative for getting up into this area. You are very exposed making that move, but it's very situational. Sometimes you might want to avoid some claymores or a person that's just camping the top of the stairs like this. You could easily just hop up that way and shoot them in the back. Now, if you want to challenge people that are across in that building right there in the second floor, instead of challenging them from here, which is the most common spot that people expect you to be in, and I've already showed you a few great counter lines of sight to this spot, instead of doing that, what you can do is come back to these barrels right here. You can see that those people can't quite see you if you're down like this, but if you hop up on the barrels like this, that actually gives you an excellent line of sight on them, and you can easily pick them off here. And again, if you crouch, they can't really see you, or at least not very well, or if they do, you can always just drop off the barrels to get completely out of their way, and this is just something they don't normally expect. Now, back in this area here, if you're challenging people that are across on that side there, this is a 50-50 fight, and we don't really like 50-50 fights if we can avoid it. So what you can do instead is hop up on the wall right here, and there you go. You get a slight height advantage, and you actually get better cover here as well, and they don't see this one coming as often as somebody that's just standing right here. Another thing that I really like that you can do from back in this area here is to challenge the people up in the windows there. Something they wouldn't normally expect is if you're in this building and you jump on top of the window here, you can't mantle over it. It can be a little tricky to get it right. But if you jump on top of it and crouch, you're completely hidden from them. But when you stand up, perfect line of sight. As you can see there, this is a great way to pick those people off. Now, an excellent long shot spot and counter to this position right here. If they're coming up to this area and they're going to be trying to lock down this part of this lane here, a great way to pick them off from a distance as you're coming out of the A spawn. Let's just say they've killed you there and you know they're just sitting on that power position and you spawn back in this area. If you've got a sniper rifle or something else that's good at long range, all you have to do is hop up on these boxes right here, and there you go. Great line of sight over the top there, and they don't typically look back this far, so that gives you a great advantage over them when they're standing there. Now, one last thing over by the C domination flag, and this is brand new, is this whole area right here, like jumping up on these containers, this whole building. You couldn't access the top floor of this at all in the old Backlot. So this is an excellent way if you want to push towards this spawn area and you think somebody's camping back here. Instead of just coming around out in the open with no cover, it's much better to be jumping up on top of these containers and either challenging them around the corner like this, or just getting up into this building, and now you have this window to challenge them. Now, that pretty much covers it for everything I wanted to share on Backlot, and there were a ton of spots there. I'm not going to have nearly as many for the other maps, because the way they seem to be designed, there just isn't that much room for creativity on them. I searched for a very, very long time, and I quite simply couldn't find a ton of spots here, but I'm going to share the ones that I found with you guys at least. So let's move into Aniyah Incursion, and the first spot that I wanted to share with you guys is a great line of sight towards that top area right there. This can also be used on Aniyah Palace, the ground war map. This is really common for you to challenge people across like that, and that's not great for anybody involved. Nobody has cover here. It's kind of a lame gunfight to be in the first place, and I just don't like challenging that. However, if you come back to this area here and just jump up onto this, look at that. Perfectly clear line of sight. Now you have a little bit of cover, or at least concealment. You can crouch here, get away from their line of sight really easily, or stand up and pick them off. Just a little alternative to that is you could peek around the right side as well, but you have a lot less cover here, so it's not really great to be doing this. But this also gives you a line of sight into this area here, which could be useful for you. Next up, a nice little sweet spot right here is if you're trying to challenge people that are up in that window right there, which is very common. If you just come between this little area right here, you can crouch to take cover from them, stand up, and you get a nice line of sight on them that they don't typically expect, and you can actually control your cover much better than they can here, so that gives you the advantage. As for the next spot, this is a great way to challenge people that are up in the room if you find yourself down in this area right here. One thing you can do is hop up onto the crates right here, and that just gives you a little bit better cover to challenge them, but still, it's not as good as it could be. Another thing you can do here, if you're safe from all the other directions, and you're just trying to challenge that person, is hop up on there, and then hop up on the wheel well right here, and from this, you can actually see them through the glass of this truck, and while you can't break this glass, you can shoot through it just fine. So they often won't see this one coming at all. You can really easily pick those people off through there. Now, one last thing I have to share for you guys here that a lot of people just don't see coming is if they're up in the B domination area there, and they're just kind of camping it out, locking it down, they're going to be looking for people that are up on these balconies for good reason, because that's where most people are going to be coming from. A nice way that you can sometimes get a line of sight on them is to hop up on top of this thing right here, and you kind of head glitch over top. And the main thing here is you have the element of surprise. You might seem really exposed, because you kind of are. If they push up, obviously they've got the advantage here, because they've got some cover and a slight height advantage. But they often don't see this coming, so if you can get yourself up on top of this, you can oftentimes pick them off because they're just not looking in this area. But with that, unfortunately, that's all I've got for you guys on Aniyah Incursion. They've done a pretty good job of controlling angles and lines of sight so that you can't do anything too creative here. Next up, let's move into the brand new Sawmill map. And once again, there's not a lot of room for creativity here. This is a pretty basic map, and they've done a really good job at cutting off unintended lines of sight and really controlling the angles on this. It's almost like Treyarch designed this map. But having said that, I've still got a couple things I can share for you guys. The first one is a cheeky little line of sight up to these windows. It works for both of these windows here. If you have enemies that are up there and you manage to get yourself up into this area right here, you're safe from their line of sight at this point. Now, if you back off to just the right spot here, look at that. Great little line of sight on them. They can't see you through here at all. They won't see your scope glint most of the time either if you've got a sniper rifle. And you don't lose any bullet damage, so you can easily just pick them off through that little crack. Next up, another thing you could do to challenge those people, if you happen to be up onto this area right here, and you maybe see them popping up on the minimap, or you just suspect somebody's in there, so you can just spray through this area, or the wood area right here, basically just spray through there. You don't lose very much bullet damage at all. I'm using an SMG without FMJ, and you can see how easy it was for me to melt that person through the wall. So every once in a while, if you happen to be up here, just spray a couple bullets through, and if you get a hit marker, keep shooting, and you'll get yourself an easy kill on the people that love camping this power position. Now, finally, the last spot that I'm going to share with you guys isn't too revolutionary or anything. It's just a nice way to approach this angle. Instead of coming around the corner like this and exposing your entire body to somebody that's on that power position in the window, a much better way to handle this situation in a lot more of a careful manner is to strafe your way up this rock, and that gives you at least a bit more control over how much of your body you're exposing to them, and it works for this window as well. So this is a much better way to come around this corner than just running out in the open. But with that, unfortunately, that's all I could find on this map. I spent quite a bit of time here, and like I said, it's just a really well-controlled map. There's not much room for the imagination when it comes to this one. So with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's triple episode of Maps Exposed on the Season 3 maps. Of course, I'd like to know in the comment section below, what's your opinion on these maps in Season 3? Do you really like them? Do you dislike them? Or are you kind of indifferent? Just let me know those thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.